Hello and welcome to another episode of Thick Slices and Deep Cuts. Today I'll be ranking the albums of an era of a band. That band is known as Metallica. Who has not heard of them? You could say they're from the Bay Area. They actually originated in the Los Angeles area. But when they lost Ron McGovney on bass, they wanted Cliff Burton to join the band. Well, he lived in the Bay Area and said, I'll join your band, but you got to move up to the Bay Area. So that's when they became a Bay Area thrash band. And then once they kicked Dave Mustaine out and back down to LA, they got Kirk Hammett from Exodus. So he's a Bay Area thrasher. So the band was definitely half Bay Area, and at this point you can definitely say we're part of that scene for sure. Today I'm going to be ranking just 5 albums, so it's their first 5. It's their first 10 years. And the reason I do that is because, you know, I did an Iron Maiden podcast, and I do like all the Maiden stuff to varying degrees, but I just want to stay more positive, or as positive as I can, and I think you know what I mean by that. After about those first 5 albums in that first 10 years, things changed quite a bit. But I'll get into that after the rankings, and there's probably more to discuss or look at than just the 5 albums I have here. So we'll just get right into it here. I'll rank all 5. I will say that I like all 5. I definitely like 4 of these, and I really love 3 of them, and 2 of them, it was tough to figure out which was the number 1. So, but we'll get into it here. So coming in at number 5, from 1991, their self-titled, or the Black Album, I guess is what people call it. This was obviously, as everyone knows, I don't know how many it sold. I don't know if it's a diamond album or not, but it just blew through MTV and just sold so many copies. It's one of the all-time big selling albums. Bob Rock came in to produce this. I think he'd come off doing the Dr. Feelgood Motley Crue album and all that. So I guess Metallica was kind of, looking for a change of style at this point. I guess they felt like they'd done everything they could with their previous 4 albums, which I'll get into later. I guess these songs are well done. I mean, I've learned to like this a lot more over the years than I did in the beginning, but at the same time, I also don't ever need to really hear this album again, because if you had MTV or KC95, if you're in St. Louis, who wasn't aware of Enter Sandman? Who was, Sad But True is one of the best songs on here. Wherever I May Roam is probably one of the best ones. Holier Than Thou is pretty good. Of Wolf and Man, My Friend of Misery, The God That Failed, those are all pretty good. I do remember as a 15-year-old in the summer of 91 waiting for this album to come out and being so fired up. And it was the first real time in my life that I was truly, not only disappointed, but angry. When I saw the Enter Sandman video, it came out right before the album came out. And I was wanting thrashing and darker and more technical and everything to be more extreme, because 91 was right at that time where I was just looking for more technical and more aggressive and just everything better, everything more. So I was finding technical bands like Watchtower and even Dream Theater and stuff like that, but also just death metal, which was the next step up. The Creators and Sepulturas into all of that stuff. So I was looking for something. I was looking for Metallica to bring it all, and they did not bring much of anything with Enter Sandman, in my opinion. I thought the lyrics were corny. The riffs weren't complicated. There was no thrashing at all. There wasn't really even any double bass kicking. So I was bummed out. And in fact, this album has 0 thrashing. It's not, I guess they wanted to change their sound. I guess they felt like they did all they could do with the thrashing. So this is not a thrash album. This is a heavy metal album, well produced with a bunch of hooks and a lot of MTV videos. So, for what it is, I guess it's fine. It's obviously they became legends with this, and they sold a ton of copies, and they made a ton of new fans. So good for them. But it's my number 5. Okay, coming in at number 4. And the rest of these are everybody's number ones. But coming in at number 4, for me, my opinion is 1984's Ride the Lightning, their second album. A lot of people say this is their favorite. I would just say that it's very good. It has 8 songs, and I think Fight Fire with Fire is a great stomping opener. I think Ride the Lightning, the song, is pretty darn good. For Whom the Bell Tolls is classic. Who doesn't like that song? With the great Cliff Burton bass line at the beginning, stomping mid-paced rhythm. Fade to Black, I think it's good. I don't not like the song. I don't know. It's okay. It's all right. It's pretty melodic for them. Creeping Death I always thought was good, but not as good as I think it's been hailed. It's good. Pretty good. The Call of Cthulhu might be my favorite thing on here. I think For Whom the Bell Tolls, The Call of Cthulhu, Fight Fire with Fire is good. The title track, can't argue with that. Fade to Black, okay. I don't like Trapped Under Ice and Escape. Those 2 songs to me are just. That's why this is coming in at 4. I'm trying to figure out how to rank all these classic albums. I'm like, well, how do I figure out which one of these classics is going to fall to 4? Well, part of it for me is just it's got 2 tracks on here I just skipped. And a couple of tracks that I don't love. But it's still a hell of an album. And just, in 1984, who was doing high-quality stuff like this in 84 in thrash? This is also, I believe, the first one that they did with Fleming Rasmussen as the engineer. So I'm pretty sure that was the case. It says it's produced by Metallica, but I'm pretty sure that Fleming was on board for this one. Yeah. So at any rate, yep, he did it. I think it was because Lars had a connection back in Copenhagen, Denmark, and they went back over there to record this album. So coming in at number 4, a classic, their second album from 1984, Ride the Lightning. Oh yeah. Coming in at number 3, their debut from 83, Kill 'Em All. No Remorse we're listening to right here. I mean, you can say that the songs aren't as polished here, but man, the energy, the raw aggression, 1983, nobody's playing like this in 83. Kirk Hammett used to be able to play solos. To me, when I think of Metallica, and when I think of positively of Metallica, I think of the Four Horsemen and No Remorse, and Am I Evil and Blitzkrieg, and stuff like that from the early days. Phantom Lord. Yeah, these songs. So this is just a killer album. Recorded in May of 93. I think they went over to the East Coast. Recorded with John Zazula. The copy I had as a kid was on vinyl, and I had Am I Evil and Blitzkrieg to end both sides of that album. So I always thought that Kill 'Em All had 12 songs. And I always thought Am I Evil and Blitzkrieg were recorded for Kill 'Em All. So I had this album that was like 63 minutes long. So I loved it. I just thought Kill 'Em All was like the best thing they did. So imagine when this only has 8 and it's not nearly as long as the first one. But truth be told, this really only has 10 songs, and Am I Evil and Blitzkrieg were recorded between this album and the Ride the Lightning album in early 84. But at any rate, this Seek and Destroy, another classic, Jump in the Fire. If I didn't mention Whiplash already, Metal Militia. You've got Cliff Burton doing a bass solo song called Anesthesia. Motor Breath, Hit the Lights. So this is my number 3, Kill 'Em All. And who can argue with that? Okay, my number 2 is basically everybody's number 1. I'll try and explain why it's number 2 and why the number 1 is what it is. But at number 2, you've got Master of Puppets, 86, thrash. Thrash metal, 1986. Coming out of California. Produced by Fleming Rasmussen again. Battery, one of my all-time favorite tracks. I mean, I think my favorite 5 Metallica songs are probably Four Horsemen, No Remorse, Battery. I'll mention the other one when we get to it. Master of Puppets, the song, it's melodic, it's thrashing, it's got cool lyrics, it's great, it's a long song. This album's kind of progressive. Songs are getting long here. And it's very thrashy, but just well done. The thing that should not be, I remember as a kid, that was like the heaviest song I'd ever heard in my life. That one's great. Welcome Home Sanitarium. It's okay. It's, mid-paced, a little more melodic. It's okay. It's probably one of my lesser favorites on here, although a lot of people love that one. I love Disposable Heroes. It doesn't get much darker and thrashier for them than Disposable Heroes. Leper Messiah is friggin' brutal too. That one's great. Orion, the instrumental, is incredible. The Call of Cthulhu was the instrumental on the album prior. Orion is incredible. I don't know how they get that sound at the beginning. It sounds almost like some old organ, but stranger. I don't know if it was a bass guitar with an effect on it or what. But Damage Incorporated is probably the fastest, thrashiest song on the album. So you don't need me to tell you this is a perfect album of thrash. If you want to start anywhere in the, if you don't know anything about thrash metal and you want to start somewhere, you may as well just pick up Master of Puppets and get started, because this is the epitome of how it's done. So coming in at number 2, probably their number 1, but coming in at number 2 for me, Master of Puppets. Which means that coming in at number 1 by process of elimination, 1988, their 4th album, Injustice for All. Their longest album, when I had it as a kid, it was on two vinyl. I think the album's like 65 minutes long, 9 songs, 65 minutes. It's even, Fleming Rasmussen produces this, it's even heavier and darker than Master of Puppets. Why do I rank this ahead of that? Well, Blackened might be my favorite song they've ever done. They have great lead-off tracks, by the way. This is also their most technical, most progressive, darkest, meanest, thrashiest album. They had lost Cliff Burton. After Master of Puppets came out and they were on tour for Master of Puppets, they lost Cliff Burton, obviously, in a bus accident in Sweden when they hit a patch of ice. He went out the window, the bus rolled over on him, and that's what happened there. So these guys are pretty angry, and they're in a dark place on this album, and it shows. And although they were going through a lot of the time, I thought they produced one hell of an album. Blackened and Justice for All, the title track, is almost 10 minutes long. It would be their longest song, but there's a song on here towards the end that's 4 seconds longer at 9:48. It's called To Live Is To Die. It's practically an instrumental, although they have a spoken word towards the end. That was the spoken word of lyrics by Cliff Burton. Dyer's Eve might be even faster and heavier than Damage Incorporated from the previous album. Eye of the Beholder, I always loved that song for being mid-paced. One, who doesn't know One? And how dark was that video when Johnny got his gun? Landmine is Taking My Sight, Taking My Arms, The Shortest Straws, classic. Harvester of Sorrow, probably the first song I learned how to play properly on the guitar, just because it was a little slower than the other fast ones. Frayed Ends of Sanity. I love this album. It's a little bit longer than Master of Puppets. It's probably 10 minutes longer than Master of Puppets. It's got one more song. The songs are longer. The songs are more technical. It's dark. It's aggressive. It's just pissed off. I mean, something about this album. I think somebody can say, well, the title track on Master is better than the title track here. Maybe, but I dig the title track on here. I don't know what you'd compare Welcome Home with. Maybe One. I don't know. One's better. Shortest Straw, Harvester of Sorrow. These are all classics. Also, timing is everything. This is where I got on board with the band. I'm pretty sure that I got to junior high, and suddenly I started seeing these kids that were like a little bit older than me, but they were wearing these Iron Maiden and Metallica and Megadeth shirts, and I kept seeing these Metallica shirts in the hallway. It's like, I might have to check them out. So the album that was coming out right at that time was this one, so I got into it, and then obviously I got the first 4 pretty quickly. In fact, this is off Garage Days. I got everything up to that point right as the One video was dropping, I think in '89. So a lot of it has to do with timing, but I just thought this was the best thing they'd done to date. And that, again, Master of Puppets, I was playing all these things heavily in rotation. So, I think You can find some people do their own remixes of this album on YouTube, and sometimes they can pump the bass up a little more because Jason Newsted was their bass player on here. This is his first album, although I guess he was on this covers EP. His bass, it's no secret, his bass was more than buried. They buried it, and then they buried the buried mix. I still dig it though, and like I said, you can find some versions where you can hear it a little bit more. They did a box set where they supposedly remastered it or something, but they didn't remix it, and that was too bad. Because had they remixed the bass, I probably would have forked over all the money to get that version of it. But anyway, at number 1, I'm going with Injustice for All. So real quickly here, to recap, for their first 10 years, their first 5 albums. Number 5, we got the self-titled The Black Album from '91. Number 4, we have their second album from '84, Ride the Lightning. At number 3, we have their debut from 1983, Kill 'Em All. At number 2, we have their classic from 1986, Master of Puppets. And at number 1, I have Injustice for All from 1988. So that is ranking the first 10 years of Metallica. If you want, I can quickly rank the rest of Metallica. I think they have, in my estimation, because I'm not counting Lulu, they have 10 full-length studio albums. At number 10, it's got to be Saint Anger. You know, Frantic, and that's about it. And the snare is annoying on this. Bob Rock, last production credit with them. So number 10 would be Saint Anger. At numbers 9 and 8, I don't know. You tell me. Load, Reload. I guess I'll go Reload at 9 and Load at 8. Although I don't really care. At number 7, their most recent from 2016, Hardwired to Self-Destruct. It's okay. It's just kind of, I don't really remember anything from it, but I saw him at Busch Stadium for this album, and that was cool to see him. You know, what, Moth into Flame, Atlas Rise, Confusion, you know, it's okay. This is probably the best thing in my opinion, that they've done since Death Magnetic from '08, Rick Rubin producing. I think Broken, Beat, and Scarred and All Nightmare Long are really damn good songs. There's some other good riffs, and it's a little thrashier. You can tell the logo's back. You can tell what they're trying for. I think somebody said this is fits in as the album that would have come between Injustice for All and the Black Album. I could see that. It's not great, but at least it's okay. So that would be number 6 if I had to rank them like that. Also, I never really listened to this, but back in the day, I think it was '99, S&M, Symphony of Metallica. Just for the Call of Cthulhu alone, I think it was Michael Kamen did the orchestration for this. You know, they do Puppets, Wolf and Man, Thing That Should Not Be. You know, and then they do a bunch of newer stuff. You know, Nothing Else Matters. By the way, I didn't mention that on the Black Album. Man, I couldn't believe they did a song like that. You know, good for them. They broke through with it, but I think Sabbath True's on here, 1. So I hardly ever listen to this, but, you know, I have it. It was them doing their stuff with the symphony because they can. Since I don't have this on CD, but I mean I have it on vinyl. If you can't find it on CD, just get Garage Inc. because it has the entire album on here, and then it also has Bread Fan, which was on this single I had for Harvester of Sorrow. Also on that single on the second side was a song called The Prince, which I think was a Diamond Head cover. Bread Fan was a Budgie cover. They did a Queen cover. They do a Motorhead. They do Motorhead songs. They do a Merciful Fate medley. A bunch of stuff on here. Black Sabbath cover. Anyway, this is cool. I like a lot of the covers they do. You know, they did a Bob Seger one, whatever. But I do like a lot of their covers of like new wave of British heavy metal type stuff. So Garage Inc., even though they look ridiculous on the cover, I thought that was worth owning. You know, I think we're listening to The Small Hours, and they did Helpless. We heard before that The Waits on here. Crash Course in Brain Surgery, I believe, is another Budgie cover. And then they finished with The Misfits, Last Caress, Greenhouse. So I always dug this stuff, and I always dug those covers they did in the 80s. And some of the newer covers they did here. But so there you have it. I think everybody's pretty familiar with the band and a lot of their catalog here. But I just thought, you know, I've got all their stuff. I know them pretty well. It's probably time to do a podcast on Metallica. They were vital band. I mean, you got to give them credit. They and Iron Maiden alone had me going, I got to get an instrument and I got to form a band. So regardless of what you think about them since, they definitely made an impact. So there you have it. That is ranking, I guess I'll call it the first 10 years of Metallica. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Okay, I just wanted to add to the ranking of the first 10 years of Metallica. I have 5 videos I forgot to show from yesterday's podcast, so I just want to tag this on here at the end. So I'll just start here. I've got this video. It's the making of, what's it called? A year and a half in the life of, parts 1 and 2. So this is when they were making the Black Album. It took them a year and a half to make the album. They were in LA, Vancouver. They're working with Bob Rock. This is them pretty much at the peak of their success. And I had seen this way back in the day, but it was on VHS forever. Well, Metallica opened Blackened Recordings and re-released it. So I picked it up. I think I've watched it one time since, but you know, if you want to see them at the height of their powers. Conversely, in 2004, they released this movie called Some Kind of Monster, and it's just them pretty much at their lowest point, in complete turmoil. This is where Jason Newsted leaves the band. You know, they're making Saint Anger. It's Bob Rock's last time. They've got a psychologist with them. Everybody's kind of a mess. I guess the one upside is Rob Trujillo gets into the band. As much as it's a mess, it's kind of entertaining. It might be more entertaining than this when they're at their height. But you've got a band at 2 different points in their career on these two. On to the more positive. Well, it's not positive because Cliff Burton died, but the one silver lining in all that is that they released Cliff 'Em All. And again, this was on VHS forever until Blackened Recordings re-released it. So it's just got a lot of cool footage of not only Cliff Burton back in the day, but just of the band, and you just get a real sense of that vibe from like 82 to 86. And they're playing live songs, Creeping Death from 86, Am I Evil from 86, Damage Incorporated from 86, Master of Puppets from 86, Whiplash from 83, The Four Horsemen from 85, Fade to Black from 85, Seek and Destroy 85, Sanitarium 86, For Whom the Bell Tolls 85, No Remorse from 83, and Metal Militia from 83. That footage from way early, especially 83, is the best. Just so cool. They're playing in these clubs in the Bay Area. So Cliff 'Em All. If you like the 4 full lengths from the 80s and the garage days from the 80s, you should also try and get this one too. So this is awesome. Cliff 'Em All. Again, another one that I didn't really get into back in the day, but Blackened Recordings, Metallica's personal label, re-released Live Shit Binge and Purge because it was on VHS forever. Check out this packaging. Pretty cool. So you get that packaging, and then it's got a 3 CD live set from Mexico City in '93, and then a DVD from a show in '92 at San Diego, and a show on DVD from '89 in Seattle. So check this out. Let's see. Okay. So the three CD live shows in Mexico City include Enter Sandman, Creeping Death, Harvester of Sorrow, Sanitarium, Sad But True, Of Wolf and Man, The Unforgiven, a Justice medley, which has Eye of the Beholder, Blackened, The Frayed Ends of Sanity, and Justice for All, Through the Never, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Fade to Black, Master of Puppets, Seek and Destroy, Whiplash, Nothing Else Matters, Wherever I May Roam, Am I Evil, Last Caress, One, Battery, The Four Horsemen, Motor Breath, and a Queen cover called Stone Cold Crazy. So 3 CDs from some shows when they spent like almost a week in Mexico City in '93. So when I say the first 10 years, that's what I mean. They toured the Black Album all the way to '93, and they released, Kill 'Em All in '83. So that's why I called it the first 10 years. The DVD of the show in San Diego for '92, you got Enter Sandman, Creeping Death, Harvester of Sorrow, Sanitarium, Sad But True, Wherever I May Roam, Through the Never, The Unforgiven, that Justice medley again, The Four Horsemen, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Fade to Black, Whiplash, Master of Puppets, Seek and Destroy, One, Last Caress, Am I Evil, Battery, and the Queen cover Stone Cold Crazy. And then last but not least, and maybe the coolest, Seattle in '89. Blackened, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Sanitarium, Harvester of Sorrow, Four Horsemen, Thing That Should Not Be, Master of Puppets, Fade to Black, Seek and Destroy, and Justice for All, One, Creeping Death, Battery, Last Caress, Am I Evil, Whiplash, and Bread Fan. So that's a cool DVD to have too. So totally worth having if you're into that first 10 years of Metallica era. It's got everything. And then last but not least, I was looking for another concert of theirs more recently because I kind of do like Death Magnetic. So they have this concert from '09, from Halloween and November 1st from '09 called Quebec Magnetic. They filmed in Quebec City. This is probably the coolest set list and the most professional of their official bootlegs that I could find. But you've got This Was Just Your Life, The End of the Line. A lot of these songs are from Death Magnetic. The Four Horsemen, Shortest Straw, One, Broken, Beaten, Scarred, My Apocalypse, Sad But True, Sanitarium, The Judas Kiss, The Day That Never Comes, Master of Puppets, Battery, Nothing Else Matters, Enter Sandman, Killing Time, Whiplash, Seek and Destroy, bonus tracks, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Holier Than Thou, Cyanide, Turn the Page, All Nightmare Long, Damage Inc., Bread Fan, Phantom Lord. So I thought that was pretty cool. It's got Rob Trujillo on bass. So this was, this was as good an era as the band has had, in my opinion, in the last 25 years. So I was glad to get something more modern that I liked. So that's this. Death Magnetic's pretty good, and this is definitely from that era. Quebec Magnetic. So there you go. That's all. I just wanted to show those 5 videos and add that to the discussion on the first 10 years of Metallica. So that's all I had. Thanks for watching.